Lucky Luciano, architect of the modern mafia. He was charming, ruthless, intelligent, and undeniably one of the most influential crime figures in American history. His name was Salvatore Lucky Luciano, the man who transformed chaotic street gangs into a structured criminal empire known as the American Mafia. Lucky Luciano was born in Sicily in 1897. At the age of 9, he arrived in New York, stepping into a world of poverty and violence. The Lower East Side wasn't just a neighborhood, it was a battlefield. Different immigrant groups fought for control of the streets. Young Luciano quickly understood one thing. In this world, power came not from strength, but from strategy. Imagine him as a teenager, standing on a noisy street corner, watching older boys run gambling tables, sell protection, and make money he could only dream of. Little by little, Luciano joined them. First small jobs, then bigger ones. By his early 20s, he had already built a reputation. Clever, fearless, and dangerously ambitious. During Prohibition, alcohol became illegal, and Luciano saw an opportunity worth millions. He partnered with some of the most violent men of the era, including the brutal Joe Masseria, known as the boss of bosses. But Luciano had bigger plans. One night, Luciano was kidnapped by rival gangsters, beaten, stabbed, and left for dead on Staten Island. Doctors didn't expect him to survive, yet he did, and earned the nickname Lucky. But to Luciano, this wasn't luck. It was a warning, a message: change the system or die inside it. By 1931, Luciano decided the old ways had to end. The constant wars between Italian gangs were destroying business and attracting too much attention. He made a decision that would change everything. Masseria had to go. April 15, 1931. Masseria sits at a restaurant in Coney Island, eating lunch, playing cards, smiling, unaware that Luciano has already left the table to use the bathroom. Seconds later, gunfire erupts. Masseria collapses. The boss of bosses is dead. Though the details remain debated, one thing is certain: Luciano emerged as the most powerful man in New York. After Masseria's fall, another powerful figure rose: Salvatore Maranzano. He crowned himself Capo di tutti capi, boss of all bosses. Luciano pretended to obey, but behind closed doors, he planned his next move. September 1931. 4 assassins disguised as government agents burst into Maranzano's office. Moments later, the self-proclaimed king lay dead. With both rivals gone, Luciano took control, not as a dictator, but as an organizer. Lucky Luciano's greatest creation wasn't a murder or a racket. It was a system. He formed the Commission, a board of directors for organized crime. Instead of one supreme boss, each major family had a seat at the table. Disputes were solved through meetings, not gunfights. This single idea transformed scattered mobs into the nationwide network we now know as La Cosa Nostra. Under Luciano, gambling rings exploded with profit. Illegal alcohol distribution flourished. Labor racketeering infiltrated unions, crime families expanded into Chicago, Detroit, and beyond. He wasn't just a gangster, he was a strategist. Luciano oversaw dozens of criminal operations. Here are 2 that defined his empire. 1. The Nightclub Protection Scheme. Picture: a smoke-filled Manhattan nightclub in 1932. The owner is nervous. 2 men in suits walk in, Luciano's associates. They explain the arrangement: pay a weekly fee, and the club stays safe. Refuse, and well, accidents happen. Within months, Luciano controlled dozens of nightlife spots. 2. The International Prostitution Network. This was one of his most controversial crimes. Luciano orchestrated a multi-state prostitution ring that earned huge profits. This operation would eventually lead to his downfall. Luciano didn't see crime as chaos. He saw it as business. Not everyone feared Luciano. One man, prosecutor Thomas E. Dewey, made it his mission to bring him down. Dewey cracked the prostitution network and gathered enough witnesses to charge Luciano with compulsory prostitution. The trial stunned the nation. For the first time, the most powerful mobster in America was on the defensive. In 1936, Lucky Luciano was sentenced to 30 to 50 years in prison. His empire began to crumble. Even in prison, Luciano's influence remained. During World War II, U.S. officials secretly met with him, hoping he could help protect New York's ports from enemy sabotage. After the war, his sentence was commuted, but he was deported to Italy. He would never return to America. Luciano spent his final years in Naples, still respected, still feared, but isolated, watching the empire he created evolve without him. He died in 1962 of a heart attack at an airport.